Hi, I'm Kevin Kraut. Today I'm talking about a document that we have, we'll list this on. It's called the Swedish Rescue. And it kind of talks a little bit about the members of the church in Sweden, and they begin to study and learn, and they find out that Joseph Smith was a polygamist, and then they go, gee, why weren't we ever taught that? They probably learned about Adam God, and of course nobody teaches that anymore. And then of course Bruce R. McConkie said that Brigham Young never did teach it, and so then the anti-Mormons come along and show people where definitely many passages where Brigham Young truly did teach the Adam God doctrine. This is what my dad said. He said if Bruce would have just said, look, we don't believe in the doctrine, but Brigham taught it, and take it for what you want, but this is what the church thinks today, or something, then there wouldn't be any fuel for the anti-Mormons. We wouldn't feel like we were deceived, when we found out, oh no, our church leaders lied to us. Oh, they didn't tell us the whole truth. Oh no. And so then this is what happens, and that's what Hugh Nibley said. He said, oh, many people get a hold of this anti-Mormon stuff, and then they come to me and ask about, the Adam God doctrine or something, and he says, I'm not in a position where I can tell about that, so I send them down there to read Ogden Kraut's book on it, and so they go down to the library and they read it and they come back, and then they understand. Then it's not so much of an impact. It's like, okay, no big deal. I understand the Adam God doctrine, I understand some of these other doctrines, and then they can go back and do their church work, understanding that somewhere along the line they were deceived. They weren't told the whole truth. And I guess that's the purpose of what my dad was doing, was he was trying to get people to understand the old original doctrines and to expose the very fact that the church has hidden some of these doctrines, that it has done this. Why has it done it? Because in 1890, the church, Wilford Woodruff was told 1 year before, don't give in, don't do this, don't do this manifesto, which, by the way, the manifesto, and we can show you proofs of this, was actually doctored by some of the government before he even gave the speech, before he even did it. They said, well, we want this and this in there, and rewrote it and everything, and it was not a revelation. And so he got in there and he did this, he changed this. Later we have another place where he's sitting there like this and he's upset, and he says, he goes, I just can't understand what I've done. I'm hurt, and what have I done? He's upset. And in comes walking one of the other general authorities, and he says, well, don't you know what you've done? And he says, no, I don't know what I've done. And he says, you fulfill prophecy. Because in Isaiah it says that we, the Ephraimites, would make a pact with the devil. In other words, it would be, we'd sign a contract with death and hell, which is exactly what you've done. And so from that point on, we had a contract with these people from San Francisco, and that contract was basically that we would be a part, that they would control the entity of the church. It became a corporation. It is told what to do and what they can't say and what they can say. They're very limited on some of the things that they can do. And so people, what we're trying to do here is to establish that, as Brigham Young said, he said, in Brigham Young's teachings, he says that before we take one step back to Jackson County, we will have to live all of the higher laws. Here in this valley, we are going to live all of the higher laws. Now, plural marriage is a higher law. United order is a higher law. All these are higher laws. We have to understand those things. We have to get where we're willing to do it. It's not such a shock to us. And then we will go back to Jackson County. So in preparation for this, we're kind of in the wilderness here. We're cast out. There are people leaving the church in droves. Please, people, I wish I could tell you, get a hold of these videos, watch these videos, study this gospel out. It has good things. It has interesting points that go back to a very beautiful beginning that is now locked up in the Rocky Mountain Vatican, as I call it. The church has now closed up those archives and can't get into and find out a lot of the truth of what happened and what those early teachings were. But these are all brought out in basic Christianity. These are things that we have to understand what they were. It's so simple if you really understand. The Bible had plural marriage and it had these things, it had all of these principles inside of it at one time. And so Joseph lived these, Brigham lived these, Moses lived them, all these people lived these laws, and these are the laws, these are the principles that go back to the foundation of our religion, go back to the foundation of what Christianity was, and that's what we're trying to prove and establish here in these videos.
Sweden.